This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
I'll just call the meeting to order then, and we can get started. We've got a little more. I'd like to add two more things to the agenda. So I think maybe the easiest thing to do is to not do the minutes of previous meetings until the end, and we can get right to work on our business. Is Dan here?
No.
No. Well, he has submitted a project, I think you've all seen it, for an additional sign for the Park Commission. So
if he doesn't show up, I can give you a little background on that.
I'm sure you can. Go ahead.
Oh, do you want to start there?
Yes.
Okay. So the commission had approved money for signs for a couple of the parks. I think it was several years ago.
Yes.
We finally got the signs. They've been installed. They look fantastic, but they never accounted for the fact that there are actually two entrances to Conant Park. So Dan is proposing purchase of a second one that will go in over by on the library side, the pavilion side. And that's about it. There's not too much to it.
At the cost that he put down was $2,131. Now, I'm a little nervous about this with the way everything is going on these days, and afraid that, price will be up or something before that. It gets done. Does that make sense?
What do you think is an appropriate cushion on that, Virginia?
Well, I don't know, but I would, because he's going to return the, they'll turn back the money that they don't use. I would say go to the 3,000.
How much does the sign cost that's there? How much did the one sign that's there, how much did that one cost?
Well, I imagine that he's based this on, I didn't ask him.
That was fairly recent, yeah.
His quote date is 6/27/22. The sheet, the follow-up sheet that came with the request. So the date, the formal quote from Neat Hawk was dated 6/27/22. So that's not very recent.
That's true, but I mean, we all know what's happening.
Yeah, we need to bump it.
And if they don't use it, they turn it back in.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't I move that we approve $3,000 for this project? If somebody wants to second it for discussion, and if anybody else has any more discussion.
Does anyone have any more comments, or are you ready to vote?
I just wonder if it's just the sign, or does it also include the installation poles? Is that going to be?
I believe it comes with everything.
Okay.
Yeah, the quote says
the
custom
4x4
sign, double-sided, posts with white sleeves and custom bracket.
So it'll be all set, everything they need.
The only thing we needed to buy for the other ones was a couple of pressure-treated 4x4s. It says that the posts come, but they're actually PVC sleeves that go over the posts.
Oh,
So it's a minimal cost, and we can make it happen for definitely for $3,000.
So any other questions or comments? So if you're ready for a vote,
Do you want a show of hands, Virginia, or a roll call, or what's the best way to do that?
I think the easiest is roll call. So just go ahead and
Palmer,
Aye.
yes.
Palmer, yes.
Yep.
Janet, yes.
Janet, yes.
Kozub, yes.
Okay.
Kwasinski, aye.
Who else is here that needs to vote?
Randall, yes.
Simmons, yes.
Unanimous.
Okay, if it's unanimous, it's passed. Now let's go to the next project that came in, which was from Ed. And I hope you all got a copy of that.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions about this?
Are you talking about
Glad
the Greenway
Project moving
today?
forward.
What?
Are you talking about the Greenway one today?
Yeah, the Greenway.
Okay, thank you.
That's the only other formal proposal I've got.
Okay.
Ed,
I'm here.
you want to explain it?
Sure. Town has received a $300,000 Mass Trails grant for specifically for design of the Greenway, which we are now in the, shall we say, the actual closing date for us to actually acquire the right of way is between December 15th and December 31st of 2022. So we also need to move forward with design. Mass Trails awarded us the $300,000, which we know of. We still actually have an application in for another $200,000, which they haven't announced yet. But if you remember back, originally, you were kind enough to approve and send to town meeting the $270,000, which could be used for acquisition and design. And at the time, we had two $100,000 grants, which could be utilized towards acquisition. One of those grants, which was the small town capital grant, expired on June 30th, 2022, and the state would not extend it, unfortunately. We did run into some issues with the railroad company's attorney being rather slow. So originally we actually thought we would have acquire the right of way before June 30th. And we would use that $100,000 towards the acquisition, which would have left another $100,000 from the second grant. It would have left us $100,000 from that 270 to actually be used towards design. By losing that grant, we now have enough between the 270 and the one grant we still have to acquire the right of way. However, we don't have $100,000 to use for our Mass Trails required match, local match. Shall we say, our House and Senate delegation were very supportive, tried to put some lean or weight on the state to extend that grant that we lost. However, they wouldn't do it. So John Vellis and Kelly Pease filed a $100,000 request in the bond bill, which hasn't gone through yet. So depending on if the governor approves that, and I think it's tied up a little bit with all this, shall we say, delay from what happened with 62F and the tax rebates. So that may go through. And even if it does go through, it means the governor at the time would actually have to release it for us. So rather than lose this $300,000 grant for design work, Chris and I got together yesterday just to go over all the parameters of what we're using for what grant matches and what we actually needed. So I'm here to beg on my knees if I need to for $100,000 CPC funding for our local match for that $300,000 Mass Trails grant.
So I have a question, Ed.
Yes.
Is that explanation seems clear to me, but I'm wondering if somebody might be asking, what if we don't need it? What if we get the other two grants that you're waiting to hear from?
Well, we're only waiting for one.
Okay, one.
Yeah, and then the question at that point in time is, would we have to come up with any additional funding for that $200,000 grant? I don't think we do. I think we've got enough to hold on to it, but it's already been, shall we say, longer than we thought they would announce for those. So we don't know what's up with it.
So one way or the other, the town has to provide a match because that's required for the Mass Trails grant. Is that correct? Okay, so
that is correct. That's
clear. So we can answer that as far as whether or not somebody says, can we get away without spending CPC money, but we cannot. Okay.
No, we can't.
And just to let you know,
Virginia, can I interrupt you? Rini is in the waiting room. Can you let her in, or Ed?
Oh, that'll be me.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
Excuse me for interrupting. Sorry.
Okay, that's good. Just so you'll know that we kind of can afford to do this, our undesignated, I went in and got these figures today. We don't have that much funding in our open space recreation part, but we have $897,340 in undesignated. So I don't think that we are really at a point of needing to say we need to watch this and not, maybe we shouldn't be spending it or whatever. I think we can easily afford to do this from undesignated.
Well, I think the worst thing would be if we lost the Mass Trails grant and we lost all this tremendous work that's gone into it so far. I mean, gosh, I've heard it's been generations since we've been waiting for this rail trail, and I'm sure in favor of it. And it does affect, and Megan can probably speak to this, it does affect what's going on Manhan Meadows Sanctuary, I'm told. Yeah.
Yes. So Art has been working diligently to rework the trail so that it is less harmful to the wetlands area, and it's now ADA compliant. It's going through this process where more people will actually be able to use it. But unfortunately, we're waiting for access through the railroad, and there'll be two entrances off of that parcel. However, we have to get the railroad first. So.
Yeah, and if you haven't heard an update on that, and they utilized a Mass Trails grant of $50,000 to do that trail revitalization through there. The vendor just finished that work about maybe about 2 weeks ago at the most, and you may notice if you go by there that they actually replaced the fence that was there, but it now goes further to the right. So you will no longer have to go down that steep incline where the entrance used to be to use the trails and over those bog bridges. It has been moved. The entrance has been moved off to the right, and you'll actually go down where the railroad and within probably 2 months, the town's right away to the Greenway is, and you will actually enter the Manhan Meadows Sanctuary right off what is the Greenway. So it's much more level and much more friendly to get in there.
Are there any other comments, questions?
So I move to approve the request for $100,000 as the match towards the Mass Trails grant for the
Second.
design of the greenway.
Okay. Is there a second?
Yes, second.
Any other questions, comments? Are we ready for a vote? I see someone nodding yes. Okay. Again, those in favor?
Kemp, aye.
Kwasinski, aye.
Rosen, aye.
Brown eye.
Aye.
Palmer, aye.
Roden, aye.
I can't thank you enough. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Unanimous. Can't thank you, Ed, and Chris, and Sierra for all the work you've done on this application.
I've heard about the myth of the bike trail since I moved into town, so seems to be moving in a good direction.
I was hit with two projects right off the bat, like within 2 days of starting work here back in 2018. And one was the East Street Bridge and the other was the Greenway.
Hallelujah. You've
You're
done
running
it.
50%, Ed.
I think the Greenway was longer than that when I,
Oh, for sure. For
I
sure.
think-
Much longer.
yeah, when I think of who some of the people were that were working on it and everything. Now, we have those two. Megan, did you have something else you needed to talk about?
No, we were able to figure out the finances on the Manhan Meadows project. So,
Okay. Well, that's all I have is things that have to be voted on. We do have those two previous sets of minutes that Janet would kind of like to get approved. And then,
Before we do that, may I just ask, is the 2514, is that Rini? Phone number at the bottom right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
so let's see, we have minutes from, okay, April 4th. And minutes from March 9th. So I read them over. I didn't see any great problems.
I have a really small edit to the March 9th one.
Yeah,
In the housing authority section, of course. At the end of that paragraph, the last sentence says, she also mentioned that another member of the CPC might want to become a housing authority member. I believe that was a housing trust member, not a housing authority member.
okay.
Okay, I'll fix that.
Thanks, that's all from me.
We'll make that correction. So anyone want to, any other questions or comments, or can we just simply go ahead and approve the March 9th minutes
With one correction.
with one correction?
Go ahead. I'm not going to make the motion. I missed both of these meetings, so I'm going to abstain from voting.
Do I hear a motion to accept the 9th?
So moved.
Seconded.
Those in favor, just say aye.
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 Any negative? Okay, then there's the minutes of,
Abstention.
One abstention.
I move to approve the minutes from April 4th as is.
Second.
those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, thank you.
Aye.
There any-
Abstention.
I think I have to abstain also.
Okay.
As do I.
Is there any other business that needs to come before us?
Not for me.
No?
Good to see you all. I feel like we haven't met in, well, you guys have met, but I missed those meetings.
Since March.
Well, we haven't had anything. And then after Dan asked about the sign, the other things came up.
Good.
So, yeah, we haven't been meeting, but I don't believe in having a meeting to have a meeting.
Oh, no.
I'm all about
I
that.
know there are at least a couple of us on this meeting right here who would agree that we don't, if you don't need a meeting, don't have a meeting.
Oh, yes.
And enough.
I'll give you one, or maybe Sierra can. One thing that is going to be coming up is a bylaw that will set a housing trust. Do you want to tell them a little bit about that? Because that does affect us.
Sure. So we have the bylaw drafted. It's with legal right now, and we're hoping and praying that Ed's going to work his magic and get it back from them by November 10th so it can get into the special town meeting in December.
Oh, it's already back.
It's back?
Yeah, the bylaw committee was reviewing it today, and I believe you've got is it November 7th or 9th meeting with MPH or MTH or whatever it is. So you'll be discussing it then also. So.
Well, that's,
Sarah, can I ask a question
yeah,
about
housing
that?
trust bylaw to establish the housing trust is going to be on the December 13th town meeting. And then assuming it passes in May, we'll be asking for some CBC funding to put into it.
Yeah.
So, Sarah, question on that. My understanding of that is that whatever monies are in the bucket for housing would then be transferred to the trust and taken out of the hands of the CPC committee. Is that correct or no?
Not automatically. We would have to request it through the request process. It wouldn't necessarily be all of it. We were going to initially request, a couple hundred and put that in. But it doesn't just automatically move over. It will still, any new funding that would come to the CPC is just going to still go straight to the CPC. And if we want more, we'd have to request it, or the housing trust would have to request it again.
Yeah, we would have to always, the CPC would have to approve it, and the town meeting would have to approve the move of some of that money. And the housing authority then would have to also report back to us so that we can add it to that state report that the chair has to make every year about where the money's being used. So that would be it's not automatic. And it's not all of it.
But once the transfer is made, then control of those monies, however much is requested, then goes over to housing.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
Okay.
reason that
Well, it goes to the housing trust.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
the reason I've been looking at this is every time something comes up, a piece of property, possibly, that could be used for community housing, it's gone before we could even think about having a town meeting to get it approved.
Yep.
And this last time, I was holding my breath on the property on
Oh, yeah.
College Highway. This way, the housing trust could just go ahead and start purchasing it. And but we would always have to approve, and then the town meeting approve any movement from community preservation to the housing authority. But this trust, because I'm on the bylaw committee, we worked on this morning, and it's got a lot of safeguards in it.
And we'll be trying to, educate the town about the housing trust over the next month. Before that meeting, I'll be posting on Facebook and the community group. So any way that you guys, if you're interested in helping me, you can share my posts. If you talk to people and you find out that people have questions or concerns, send those to me, send them to me so we can we want to find out if people have any qualms about this. We would rather know ahead of time. So any amount that you can and would like to help me and us would be very appreciated.
Sierra, I am one of the people that does not do Facebook, yeah. And I would like very much to have you email me some kind of concise explanation of that. And I often send out emails to people that also do not do Facebook. And some people are really anti-Facebook. I don't know if you know that, but so therefore, if you, I'm happily in my personal email willing to accept something that I can forward that explains this, because I think it's really critical.
Awesome. Yeah, that would be amazing. Having a flyer and a little quick statement about it. So as soon as we get that finalized, I'll send that to you.
Right.
Yeah. I can you also include me in that as well? Because I don't do social media.
Okay.
And also, Sarah, can you give us an update on what's going on the College Highway property, or is that not related to, is that interrelated?
Well, it's been almost a month since we had our last meeting. Maybe I'm overestimating, but last I heard, there was some confusion over whether the perk test was updated, but I think it's going through. Honestly, Ed, do you have an update on what's going on with that?
I don't want to step on your toes, but yeah, if you ask me, yes, we are moving everything is moving forward for a actual closing on that property for November 14th, which I think is also the next housing authority meeting that night. So that night they will probably be celebrating that we have closed on it.
Yeah, good things happening this month.
So in another few minutes, the planning board is going to meet. And I think somebody on the planning board asked if I knew anything about the status of that. So I'm going to just announce exactly what Ed just said, that the closing is expected to be November 14th.
Correct. In fact, I've got the deed acceptance paperwork on the agenda for the select board for their meeting, which is going to be on Thursday night, the 10th, rather than Tuesday, the 8th, because the 8th is the election date. But that, like I say, they have to sign that acceptance of deed before the fact in this case. So that is on their agenda for the 10th.
Excellent. And then Ed, when is the special town meeting? What date is that?
This Tuesday, December 13th at 7 p.m. at Norris Elementary School.
Tuesday, okay.
And I have some writing to do, so you have 2 articles.
Thank you.
You all a lot. You guys are awesome.
Is there any other information or business? If not, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Those in favor say aye and
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Good to see you.
Bye. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it. Anytime you need me as host, let me know.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.